All right, so today we're going to be planting a few plants in an already established 10-gallon tank. These are plants that you can get from your local pet shop. One on the left grows a little bit taller. The one on the right is a little bit shorter. Therefore, it will go in the front and the other one will go in the back. And the first thing you kind of need to do when getting these plants is you open up the packaging, of course, and you kind of just want to give them a rinse off. Sometimes there's different things on them. Make sure you're using water that's not chlorinated or anything like that. My water here is pretty good. We've tested it before and it won't harm the fish. You can just open up the packaging, pull the plant out, and wash off any of that gel stuff that comes with it that helps keep the roots alive, just like so. If you can't get all the gel off, don't worry. It doesn't really do anything bad either, but I like to get most of it off of there if I can. Do the same thing with this one here. Wash off the roots a little bit and get it prepared, ready to be put in our tank. As you can see, most of the time when you get these at the store, it's not just one plant. It's actually several different plants that you can kind of spread out around your tank or plant closely together for a more clustered look. There's all sorts of ways that you can plant it, but they don't all have to be planted together. It's multiple plants. All right, we'll take these over to the tank and get started. So here's the tank that we're going to be adding to. As you can see, it's already planted with several different types of plant. Amazon sword, Java fern, Java moss, several other things in there already. Also some different types of wood that you can put in your tank. Just a lot of different structures to provide hiding places for baby fish or shrimp or baby shrimp, things of that nature. This tank has a couple different guppies in it. And it also has some red cherry shrimp hiding in there. And the shrimp just love combing through all of this stuff. The guppies have babies quite often, and so a lot of times the baby guppies will hide in any of these nooks and crannies that they can find around the tank. They love having those hiding spots because the adults, of course, will eat them. So you gotta kind of be careful there. It's another benefit of planting your tank with lots of different plants and wood and rock and different stuff of that nature, kind of help those babies survive. All right, and so what we're going to try to accomplish here is we're going to put some of the small grass up here in the front. I'm trying to kind of create just a cluster here in the middle that baby fish and shrimp can kind of hide in and get away from those guppies a little bit more. And so that's where we'll attempt to plant these grasses. Now, when you're planting these things, they don't have to be very deep. Like you're not trying to bury them by any means. You're just kind of getting them down far enough where they will stick in the substrate, whatever kind of substrate you use. And a lot of people have different opinions. You can also use a tweezers, is very helpful. I don't have one of those with me right now, but a lot of people like rock substrate. I kind of like a more sandy substrate, especially since I have shrimp. It's kind of fun watching them just go through the substrate and pick out little bits of stuff to eat. And the fish also kind of dig through the sand somewhat, and I find it more appealing visually to the natural look. So I'm kind of just gently spreading these grasses out, and I'm kind of just wedging them in the sand just a little bit. Again, these will kind of float around the tank if you don't secure them underneath something or tie them to something. You got to kind of just get some sand on top of it so they'll stay in the right spot. And over the next month or so, these will begin to establish themselves, putting out roots, sometimes as little as just a couple weeks. And eventually they'll hold themselves in, but you kind of got to give them a little help to begin with. Otherwise, you'll just have some grasses floating around the tank, and that's not super appealing for anything. One of the great things about live plants, in addition to providing shelter for littler members of your tank, they also provide a whole lot of food and help filter the water. That's being tricky. I'm losing some pieces there. They help filter the water. They clean it of your nitrates or nitrites. I can't remember which. They clean it of one of them and help keep that water nice and clean for your fish and other aquatic species that you might be keeping. You always do want to know what you're planting and have some general knowledge of it in case it needs special requirements. For instance, some plants, especially if you have a lot of plants in here, might need a fertilizer. Not often, but a lot of times you might. Sometimes also they may need some sort of CO2 injection to help with plant growth. Also, lighting is a big deal. You'll have to think about what kind of lighting your plants are getting. Some plants like to require a lot less light than others, and some need a lot more. Some will do okay in both. So make sure you know what you're planting when you're planting it before you buy it. One other thing to keep in mind, a lot of times places like PetSmart and other big brand chain stores will sell aquatic plants that aren't really aquatic plants, and while they may look good for a while, they'll actually slowly start melting into your tank. And so that's actually their process of decomposition. They're not made to be aquatic, and so they're actually just slowly dying when they're underwater in your tank, and it just causes problems for your tank. It can mess up a lot of different stuff. So make sure, again, what you're buying is supposed to be underwater. I recommend a quick Google search when you're buying it. It can give you a lot of information. Even if the packaging says fully submersible, it might not actually be fully submersible. So check it out and make sure that what you're buying is appropriate for your tank. All right, and there's the finished product. It is all planted and ready to go. I didn't get a video of it, but immediately after planting, my fish came to investigate. They like to swim through it, rub up against it a little bit, nip at it. Over the next few weeks, there'll be a lot of different activity as the plants grow. The shrimp will comb through it looking for food. The fish will do the same. Little particles will get stuck on it. So planted tanks are the best tanks for your fish, and I hope this video was helpful for you.